So that is, if I said that, it was probably because of that. I can't really remember that either. You're spoiling it for me. Um, but yeah, anyway, so thankfully he's dead, and now these big narco like these cartels aren't quite so visible. They don't certainly don't have quite like one visible head figure like that so much typically, and in part it's largely because of that experience that they saw that it would lead you to getting shot if you did that. So they're usually it's more fragmented and more discreet. But what we're seeing is that like it's still not possible to eliminate the drug trade by and large. They just even like with lots of law enforcement, there still is a significant drug trade, even if there isn't a prominent figure like Pablo Escobar anymore. So the problem isn't actually solved at this point. And I'm actually not really certain what is the best solution. I mean, there isn't a good solution. And currently, I mean, what I really support to limit the drug trade, so you could legalize it, right? But then you'd have more people consuming drugs. And I mean, by and large, you still have more people dying and having, negative health effects from the consumption of drugs than from the illegal activity surrounding, the drug market. So as such, you're still going to save more lives by making drugs illegal. So I mean, that is kind of the issue with legalizing it. Then you could tax it to cover the societal costs, but you'd still probably have more people dying, and you would probably see also a riot. You still have the illegal trade, so it's still not perfect. So then what I was thinking is you could decriminalize it, so you make it illegal, but you don't like send people to jail for it. But then people will be less afraid of consuming those things, and so you might not see the kind of reduction that you would see when you criminalize it. So there's no perfect solution. Overall, I favor the latter. So overall, I favor just decriminalizing, and but still making it illegal. I think that's probably the best approach. But there are good arguments for and against all approaches. And so that's kind of my position on the drugs. And of course, one of the primary drivers that get people into drugs is poverty, right? They see that there's not really. So anyway, the okay. Well, we don't see much. We're not seeing. Oh, this looks like the guys in my movie. That's like Carrillo and that's like Pena. I wonder if that's really that. Okay. So anyway, um, yeah, the biggest, I think lots of what gets people both into drug consumption and to the drug trade is poverty. And so by eliminating poverty, we can limit that quite substantially. And so that's what I want. And the way to do it, I mean, poverty is basically just lacking money, right? Because money is just a placeholder for material things, for goods and services that you can acquire. So really, poverty is just it can very much be conceived as a lack of money. So really, poverty can be absolutely fixed just by giving everyone money, and that is basic income. And so again, basic income is great for lots of things, and while it would also probably bring down criminality, bring down drug consumption, we can't know for sure. I like to think that that would be the case. Um, Again, we don't know for sure. I think it's probable. Um, so that is probably the best actual policy that to limit the problems with drug consumption and the drug trade. Um, and so regarding then the maximum income, well, that kind of all comes together. Oh yeah, okay, all right, thanks. Um, like the probably shouldn't leave this up either actually because this is like Netflix, so probably not allowed to. But I mean, I've been watching a huge amount of time, so obviously so far I haven't gotten into trouble. Um, so like that it all kind of comes together, right? So there's this issue of drugs. That I think the best issue of addressing that is basic income. Basic income also addresses a lot of other issues. In fact, it addresses the majority of societal issues. And then kind of as the counterpart to that, there's a maximum income. And that is to really constrain inequality on both sides, at the bottom and at the top. And so progressively, I've been sort of becoming more and more, more and more partial to a very limited range between the minimum income, the basic income, and the maximum income. So I've been progressively restricting, bringing down the maximum income, and it's just because what I figure is that, like, currently the global GDP per capita is roughly in approximately around $20,000 a year. By the time you'd implement something like that, it would be probably $25,000 a year. And meanwhile, well, after taking like taxes into account, it would be like in the higher teens, like it'd be like 17, something like that, US dollars a year. Of course, it keeps on increasing, right? So it'd be like 15 and then 20 and so on after taxes, like the disposable income per capita. And so that would be the absolute maximum that one could give for a basic income. Like literally, it wouldn't be possible to give more than that. That would be when everybody's on the basic income, and even if you work, you don't get more than that. But the problem is that, well, that is actually not doable, because you need to have workers earn more than non-workers, right? That is kind of, it's obviously because otherwise most people won't want to work, except just for a few people who just would do it out of the kindness of their hearts. But most of them would want to be compensated. And in fact, it's better to it's more fair to compensate people who work. So the basic income clearly needs to be below that level. So basically, the feasible level, the maximum feasible level for basic income is roughly $10,000 a year, and this is so tax free. So around $800 a month. And so this is actually an amount that's already sort of decent-ish already even for rich countries, which is why I think it doesn't even make sense to give a lower basic income, because in rich countries people won't really like it, and like the purpose of the basic income is also to like use it to replace other government benefits and stuff. So obviously, for it to get support even in rich countries, I think it should be decent. And in any case, it should be decent, because I think everyone should have a sort of decent minimum quality of life that they should be afforded. And honestly, I think $800 a month isn't that incredible. $10,000 a year isn't that incredible. Yeah, but I know. Inflation is actually pretty low right now. Inflation, the thing is that inflation kind of happens spontaneously. Like most of inflation is caused, lots of inflation is caused by the government expenditure, which is like deficit spending, which I don't support. So obviously that needs to be addressed. But in theory, the government is then supposed to fill the deficit. So in the long term, I don't know. I don't think either is good. I think ideally you just have price stability. I think you just have stability. That way, you just have, in your mind, a dollar is always a dollar, and so it doesn't change. I think the best would be stability. But the point is that, like, in theory, a government deficit spending doesn't cause inflation in the long run, because the government is supposed to then fill the deficit. But if the government doesn't, and the government just defaults on the deficit or something, then you get long-term inflation from that. And then meanwhile, what you've got is banks, which are responsible for a huge amount of inflation. And they do that by just sort of injecting more money into the economy with their financial tools and stuff. So that's how inflation happens. But you're not going to stop banking. Like lots of people are actually literally anti-banking, and that's very much a mistake, because banking is necessary for investment. Investment is necessary for economic productivity. So you shouldn't be anti-bank. You should be anti just useless speculation. That is a different issue. But banking in of itself is very useful. So I think that's important to bear in mind. Yeah, well, I mean, sure, but it'll still amount to the same, right? I mean, because then you'll be earning also that much less. So it doesn't make any difference whether you've got like inflation or deflation or whatever. Obviously, if you're going to have a basic income and an income cap, that would have to very much track the inflation rigorously. Um, Absolutely, I I I agree with that. I mean, obviously you need that. So obviously the figures I'm also giving is for like current dollars, and it would then be adapted to track both inflation and the growth in absolute GDP globally. And so yeah, like $800 more or less, $10,000 more or less in basic income tax free for everyone is feasible, and it's really not much. It's really pretty much close to the limit of what is feasible. Um, and meanwhile, the thing is that so roughly there's about maybe like 1/3 of people who are actually working, or 1/3 of people who are like of equivalent full-time workers. So like a half-time worker counts as a half person working. So it's about actually 1/3 of people working. Lots of people don't work for whatever reason. Either they're kids, or they're retired, or they're just like the spouse of someone who works. So there are lots of people who aren't working, or like a student or something. So so the idea there is that so if you've got your average, so I said the average income after taxes, very roughly estimating at like 17,000 US dollars a year. Um, so for three people, because like I said, since there's one person and three, so for every three people, that's 50,000 US dollars after taxes. And so, well, if you got two of those people on the basic income, because two and three aren't working, so two out of three would be on the basic income. So basically, you've got one person gets 10,000, another person gets 10,000. That's 20,000, and plus X, which is the amount that the worker gets, equals 50,000. So X equals 30,000, right? 10 plus 10 plus 30 equals 50,000. So what that means is that under the system, the amount that your average worker would get is 30,000 US dollars. And that's not much more. Like even if you gave people, if you gave people no basic income, but you still had only 1/3 of people working, so you'd have 0 plus X equals 50,000, and that would mean that the worker would be earning 50,000. So yeah, workers earn with this basic income system. The actual workers are earning less, but most workers, in any case, like have a family, and so we're going to be sharing their income with somebody. So in practice, the net amount is going to be the same. Um, so for most people, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's going to typically make your average single worker earn less, but at the same time, the average single worker also can be relieved knowing that if it gets fired, then it can just rely on the basic income. And I think that's why it's still very much desirable. And the other thing is that actually your sort of typical low-skilled but very useful jobs, your sort of manual labor type jobs, currently they're underpaid because anybody can do them, and people are desperate to have any job. With a basic income, that would no longer be the case because people aren't so desperate. So you need to raise the wages for people to be willing to do them. So in fact, those low-paid jobs are likely going to be paid higher even after taking into account the increase in taxes that is required to pay the basic income. Um, so that, I mean, obviously that is beneficial, and so then what we saw is a worker is going to be earning approximately 30,000 US dollars on average. Yeah, except that the poverty line is completely arbitrary, right? Because like in the United States, that is about at the poverty line or a little bit below, indeed. Like within a country like the United States, yeah. Meanwhile, globally, the global official poverty line is something like $700 a year, which is like 1/15th of the U.S. poverty line. So, I mean, it's very arbitrary what the poverty line is. But yeah, obviously in sort of rich country standards, well, you imagine what is $800 per month like? It's not great, okay? Um, so that's what it would be like. And so my point is that the economy actually, by and large, depends on the activity of your average worker. It's not like the people who get paid a huge amounts more and who earn disproportionately large amounts are actually contributing to disproportionately in disproportionately large amounts to the genuine material economy. And that means that honestly, if the economy can work with giving the average person $30,000 a year, which is already a lot more than what people are getting currently, because currently what they're getting is about a third of that. Currently, they're getting about 10,000. Workers are getting about 10,000 a year on average globally. So they'd be getting about 3 times that. And so if your average person is able to get about earn that, and the economy still functions with the average worker earning that, I don't see why you would need to like allow some few lucky people to earn way more than that. Like literally, the economy doesn't need to, it doesn't need the existence of high earners to properly function. Like socialism is inefficient for other reasons. It's not this huge disparity in wealth that makes capitalism work better. The problem with socialism is that you've got guaranteed employment. You don't have that under basic income. Guaranteed employment means you've got your job, you've got a guaranteed salary, and you've got tenure, so you can't be fired. And so obviously, like, you can do a shitty job and you can get away with it. With basic income, no. Basic income, you can get fired, and then you're just back on the basic income. You're going to be earning less. So that is one main difference. And another main difference, one of the issues with socialism, is that you've got this government planned economy, and that's much less efficient because the government can't really know as well what the demand of the consumer is, as opposed to this this invisible hand mechanism, which does work very well to answer the need of the consumer. The problem with the market is not a problem of productivity. The problem is that it unfairly allocates income to the people who make money on the market, and the way to address that is what I'm saying, is the basic income and the maximum income, and that way you don't have this issue of monstrous inequalities. And so currently, what I've ended up advocating for is I think that a maximum income of 5 times the basic income. Some people might think that's too low, but when you think about it, like, honestly, we don't need like huge income disparities. In any case, the average person now is earning pretty much the level of my basic income. As the average worker now is earning what the basic income is. The average person is earning like 3 times less than that, since only a third of people are working. So my point is, again, that it's not like unfair or something to limit maximum income, since almost nobody is at the maximum income for now. Like almost nobody is above the maximum income that I'm proposing. So 5 times the basic income. The basic income is 10,000. Maximum income is 50,000 after taxes. Under my system, tax rates would be roughly around 50% of your personal income. So that would be 100,000 before taxes. But again, what what actually matters is what your take-home income. So it would be 5 times the basic income. I think that is plenty. I think that is plenty to motivate people to work, since in any case, like I said again, most people are not earning anywhere near that. And even in rich countries like the United States, one of the richest countries, the average person is earning actually a little bit less. The median person is earning a little bit less than 50,000. The median worker is earning a little bit less than 50,000 US dollars a year, and that is before taxes. They're earning, I think, around like 44,000, something like that, currently, like in the latest data. And that's before taxes, and after taxes is going to be in the upper 30,000s, presumably. So 50,000, like, literally is not going to make your median person poorer. Of course, then you have to take into account the fact that taxes would be raised for most people. So in practice, lots of those people would see their salaries decrease. But the point is that, again, you got to think about this globally. If you believe in fairness, it makes no sense to just believe in fairness for the people within a particular, geographic, artificial boundaries. If you believe in fairness, you should believe in fairness for everyone. And so it makes no sense to have sort of preferential treatment for some geographic regions versus others. So globally, an income of like 30,000 US dollars is already very good, even if it's not exceptional in the USA. And in any case, like, nowadays, look, if billions of people can survive on way less than that, anyone can. So basically, fairness is an absolute ethical value. And in fact, by bringing the maximum income down, you're also going to presumably bring up the income of everyone else, because again, to a large extent, I think that income is large. I mean, labor is relatively inelastic with respect to income, which means that most people still would more or less do what they do with a lower income. Yeah, yeah. I kind of agree with that. And so, well, with my thing, you just wouldn't have these stupid high salaries. You would just have your sort of the maximum salary would be your sort of average middle class USA salary. And meanwhile, your bottom salary, well, like see, like right now in these poor African countries, like literally they're earning something like $300 a year, and this is like, you know, your average person, including those who don't work. Um, my basic income would be 10,000 US dollars a year. That would be literally like 30 times more. So literally the poorest African countries would be earning like something like 30 times more without even having to work. Um, I mean, honestly, I mean that is huge for them. For them, that would be like complete luxury. Um, well, again, my whole position is just I think all of that shit should be illegal. I'm in favor of just a completely globally unified system. I'm against even having like separate rules for separate states like you have in the U.S. I would want just one single tax system. You don't have any local tax. You don't have anything like that. You just have one global tax that's exactly the same scale for everyone, irrespectively of where you're located. And to simplify things, I'd make it a flat tax, so it'd just be a percentage of your income. But in any case, it would just be, you know, your income between $10,000 and $100,000, more or less, and you'd just be roughly 50% of whatever you earn on top of the basic income. That is, I think, the best way to do it. It's not even I think, like it's obviously the best way to do it because it's the only way to guarantee fairness among everyone, right? Why is it fair that depending on where you live, you pay way more or way less taxes? That's not fair. Um, you should like pay the same taxes absolutely everywhere, and obviously you should be able to get the same jobs everywhere. Like you should be allowed to move wherever you want, to be able to apply for any job you want. You should be allowed to, you know, be hired for any job and not be restricted because you didn't happen to be born in the right country. And so, whoa, who is saying this? Okay, I'm just showing this to see why are you saying this? See that I presume this is like some this is so it must be a French person, but I'm not sure why. Would you like to explain to us why you want you sort of suggest I endure a session of sodomy? Is there like do you think I would be particularly um you know, would that turn you on to see me engage in anal sex? Um, please do. This is annoying. Davy Rays, are you still here? Are you seeing this shit or not? This is honestly ridiculous. Do you want to actually tell me? Do you want to tell me why you don't? Do you want to tell me what you're? He says get yourself penetrated anally because you're a gay, um, anally penetrate. Why are you unhappy, friend? Um, so I'm presumably going to ban him, but I'd still like to know more about his opinions. And also KKDIY, if you like to actually like comment like an actual sentence, you can also feel free to do so. Um, so anyway, because you like insulted me, do you, I that is why I want to ban you. Like literally. Do you? I've gotten English. Bon, d'accord. Pourquoi est-ce que t'es contre ça? Est-ce que t'es contre genre ce que je dis? Est-ce que tu opposes est-ce que tu opposes les choses No, he obviously also speaks French, but est-ce que tu opposes les choses que je dis? Est-ce que tu es contre le concept de revenu maximal? Euh, Pourquoi est-ce que ton français... Bah, écoute, déjà, connard, ça a deux ânes. Donc, je veux dire, s'il y a quelqu'un qui, s'il y a quelqu'un qui parle français mal, j'estime que ce serait probablement plutôt toi. Euh, donc, voilà. Anyway, est-ce que tu veux débattre quelque chose sérieusement ou pas? Dis-moi. Est-ce que tu veux débattre le concept de revenu de base, de revenu maximal? Do you want to debate like an actual something, like an actual political position, or are you just here to like insult people? Um, in any case, so the I think I'm gonna keep him because it's nice to have a bit of back and forth. Pas particulièrement, non. I was born in Switzerland, born in Geneva, so like yeah, um, it's from when I lived in Switzerland. My mom is Swiss, so yeah. Anyway, this like what would you what was I even talking about? I was talking about maximum income, but what I was saying? Yeah, I mean the point is that like it would be ridiculous to like say there's so many people that have like so much like compassion for all these poor. Franchement, je m'en fous. De toute façon, c'était les pénaltys, donc ça veut absolument rien dire. Enfin, les tirs au but. C'était les tirs au but, donc franchement, je m'en fous. Euh, mais ouais, ils ont bien joué. Enfin, le 3-3, c'est significatif. So anyway, there's so much like misguided like sympathy for the ultra rich. It's like people have more sympathy for the wealthy than they have for themselves. Like literally, they'll vote against policy that would benefit them. Bah, franchement, moi de toute façon, je suis contre tous les gens qui proposent pas exactement. I choose to think more in English just because it's more widely spoken, so I decided to be more in English. But it's both; they're both native languages for me. I could do in French. It's not, it's a choice. I could do it in practice. In practice, I do it more in English. Um, Even though I've been more living in France, I mean French, well, actually in France, but next to Switzerland. But like going to school and working and stuff in Switzerland. But anyway, anyway, which so yeah, it's just so weird how so many people will like literally vote for policies that benefit like ultra rich people and not them, and it's really somewhat mystifying. And this is again an example. All these people, I think they ah yeah, because my dad's American. That's why. But I'm also good at accents anyway. Like I can speak other languages with not much of a visible accent from any particular place, even if I don't do it perfectly. Uh, Look, if I'm going to choose between one or the other, I'm going to choose Macron. Okay, obviously. Uh, but like, it's not like Le Pen is all bad. It's not like Le Pen is all bad, but obviously it's still not my cup of tea. Um, so that's that. Um, anyway, and I do have a bit of a Swiss accent in French when I speak French. I got a bit of a Geneva accent. So yeah, although it's become over time. Comment ça, je suis un Québécois enculé? Pourquoi t'as jamais été au Québec, hein? Pourquoi tu sais, les Québécois, c'est pas, ils parlent un peu comme ça, non? Mais ouais, les Suisses aussi, ils ont des accents assez forts souvent, mais c'est, c'est pas la même chose, franchement. Bon, um, anyway, anyway, I, where was I? Keep getting like derailed. Um, the point is that like these rich people are just getting money unfairly. So it's not, sure. I kind of feel like getting rid of the Sam person, but like to some extent, just having any kind of exchange is sort of useful. So, oh wait, and I see people have followed me. Oh yeah, Kiki KKDIY has followed me. So thank you for following me if you're still watching. Anyway, but for some reason I'm not getting alerts. I can't figure out. So the 0 and elite, is it the Discord thing? Is that what bothers you? I mean, it bothers me, but Bah, écoute, moi j'ai dit genre les vrais gros riches. Moi disons, je défends un revenu maximal à 50 000 dollars états-uniens par an. C'est et après impôt. Donc en euros, bah, c'est peut-être 40 000 euros après impôt. Moi, ma famille, effectivement, disons ma mère qui avait gagné le plus. Hmm. Yeah, I know I'm rich compared to most poor people, obviously. Obviously, I'm middle class from Switzerland. So yeah, yeah. Obviously, I'm middle class for Switzerland. That is pretty decent. Um, my point is that actually, yeah. I mean, uh, well, there's a certain type of regressive, what I call Rourke person that will do that. I think overall there is condemnation also against all violence on all sides. I mean look, the Capitol violence riots, for instance, in the United States were condemned. They no, there there's there wasn't enough condemnation. Oh no, you're one of these people. Jesus Christ. Are you one of these like fake French people? But no, he actually you write French in French well enough that you. Okay, well, good day. Thanks for watching. Is anybody else here? Well, 0 and 8. You want to try again the Discord thing? Yeah, well, I figured. What time zone are you in? Just so that I know. Wait, you're now. Oh yeah, you're in Quebec, right? So that's Eastern time zone. Um, yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Uh, yeah. Um. All right. Well. Sleep. Yeah. Well. Sleep well. Sleep tight. So wait. So that's 15. So you're 5, 6, 7, 8. So 15 plus 8, 23. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So you're also 11:07 p.m. So you're the so Dave. Oh, so we okay. So Davy Race is also EST, presumably also in North America. Most likely more like in the U.S. since there's just more people there. But yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay. You're not gone yet. Okay. Well, yeah, that's good to know. Oh wait, no, you already told me, right? Yeah, you told me. I remember. How about what? Yeah, you remember we talked about the weather in Pennsylvania. You said that it was like it had been nice weather for the over the past month. So yeah, where are you in Pennsylvania? Don't tell me. Just like what town are you in? If if you if you if you don't mind my asking. I don't think we're going to track you if you just say the town. If you don't want to say it though, you don't have to. But obviously, like, don't give your actual home address. But all right. So kind of is that like kind of south central, kind of like in the mountains? Is that about right? I think. I don't know. I'm not too. I've never been to Pennsylvania. Oh, you've got less manners than even the worst Quebecois nationalist I've met. Yeah, I'm not too bad about this stuff. Still, I've never been there. I've got like no idea regarding like the history of this stuff. It's just that like I see a map and then I sort of remember where the things are. Yeah. So yeah, South Central Pennsylvania. That was more or less how I saw it. Yep. Great. I've got these sort of lines of mountains. Kind of, it's kind of unique. I flew over once. I remember we saw it quite well. We saw them. I flew pretty much directly over there, going to Texas from New York, and I remember I flew more or less over there like that, and yeah, it's pretty cool seeing these lines, like the lines of mountains in the Appalachians. Like they're not very high, but they sort of nicely parallel like that. It's quite unique. Um, Probably from the ground you can't really appreciate that as well, but from the air it looks pretty cool. Um, I don't know. Should I get rid of the Sam person? I don't know. I just don't even see the point of like somebody who just sort of trolls like this. I said trolls would be banned, but now I changed that and I said evil people would be banned. I'm not even sure if like that person is evil. I mean, presumably. Oh, really? Really? I'm not really. Somehow in my mind, I thought Amish was more like Ohio, but yeah, I guess it's not really surprising. I mean, I know there's lots of like, these sort of German religious sort of group people. Like, I don't know. It's yeah, reçoit is not. I'm sorry to say, reçoit is not the right verb. Um, but I don't know what the right verb would be. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not super familiar with like Amish like history and geography and stuff. So yeah, let's have a look at that actually. Amish population map, something like that. I'm relatively good at like remembering maps. I kind of like maps. It's sort of my mind kind of does quite well. Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not thinking of it. No, I was thinking Amish, but I just don't know where they are. Maybe in Quebecois they actually say reçoit une vie. I don't know. Um, I mean, we don't say like petite poubelle. I mean, we don't say it like that, but we certainly understand. Like it's certainly like it's very understandable. Like everything that you said was completely understood. It's just that that's not the way normally people would say it. The things I don't even know how you would say it. It's like va te trouver une vie or something like that. And we don't say poubelle like as a sort of as an insult. Yeah, there's actually more people in Pennsylvania, but as you can see, there's also a fair amount in Ohio. Here's a map. See, Ohio is the second most after Pennsylvania. So like there is that. And Mormons, well, of course, most Mormons are in Utah, but are there Mormons even in Ohio? Look, no, these are look. There it actually looks like there are no Mormons in Utah in Ohio. It looks like oh, aren't you confusing with Idaho? You must have confused when I said Ohio. You must have confused with Idaho, which is there. Ohio is just the state to the west of Pennsylvania, and you see the Mormons are kind of distributed, um, across the sort of historic Midwest. Yeah. Oh yeah. um, but as you can see, there's okay. So I mean, it makes sense that they're also in Pennsylvania, and they just kind of spread westward from Pennsylvania. So yeah. So they're just across all that sort of inland northeast. What gets called the Midwest, which actually doesn't make sense because it's actually the northeast of the country. It's just the inland northeast. So yeah. And it seems like this Sam person actually left. So that's, I guess, vaguely good news. However, both of you want to go to bed apparently. So if you want to do that, and like, don't let me hold you back because it's true. It's getting late for you, 11:14. So it's yeah. If you want to go, feel free. Since you're the only people, I think I'll just leave it at that. I'll just stop the stream for now. Maybe we'll just restart it again a little while. All right. Thanks for watching.